and I are all Edom, made by Elohim in His image.
Shalom, my dear brothers and sisters. For today, we are going to discuss about Genesis chapter 2. And in this chapter, we will know and understand the following. So first, we will get to know about what is Eden. Unlike any other general explanations about the Garden of Eden, we will have an in-depth understanding of what is Eden. Of course, we will have other Bible verses that will support this claim. Second, we will go to know about its location. Where can Eden be found? Is it in Palawan, or is it something or somewhere else? Next, in relation to Eden, we will know about the tree of life. What is it truly, and where can we find it? Also, we will know about the tree which gave Adam and Eve the ability to distinguish right from wrong, and where can it be found? Additionally, we will know about the rivers that has 4 parts, namely Pison, Gihon, Hiddekel, and the Euphrates River. So these are the important questions found in Genesis chapter 2 that we will unravel together in order for us to know about what truly happened to Adam and Eve in this particular event. To start, Genesis chapter 2 verse 7 to 8. To read, "And the Yahweh the Allah-Hayam formed man of the dust from the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul. And the Allah-Hayam planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed." In this verse, the creation of man has been mentioned, where it took place in the Garden of Eden. To elaborate, the Yahweh have planted a garden where the man was made a living soul, and that is in Eden. We must know that most of the Bible verses are figuratively expressed, and in this particular verse, in our understanding, is pointing out that the garden mentioned is not a place, but a perceived feeling or the heart itself. It is the Elohim that owns the garden, and thus it is the Yahweh who cultivates the garden. In order to support this claim, we'll read on Jeremiah 31:33, verse 33. "But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, said the Yahweh, I will put my laws in their inward parts and write it in their hearts. And I will be their Allah-Hayam, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Elohim, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, said the Allah-Hayam. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more." So there we have it. The garden is the heart, where human emotion or feelings is being nurtured and cultivated by righteousness. Now let's go to what is Eden. In Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, it supports that Eden is the full consciousness of man, or the spirit itself. To read, "And the Elohim said, Let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." To emphasize, the Elohim made man after his likeness, and the Elohim has no physical form, but only in spirit or wisdom, and wisdom lies within a man's consciousness. Now let's get back to Genesis chapter 2 verse 8 to connect these two ideas together. "And the Yahweh have planted garden or feeling eastward in Eden or consciousness, and there he put the man whom he had formed." In this statement, it is implied that the feeling or the garden that is being referred to has been given by the Yahweh, and that feeling guides the man in his consciousness. To elaborate this statement, let's continue to verse 9. "And out of the ground made the Elohim to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, and good for food or to be eaten. The tree of life is also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So we have already stated that the Garden of Eden is figurative. Now, that means to say that the trees mentioned are not to be taken literally. So is the manner that the trees were grown at instant, much more the tree of knowledge of good and evil. We have here the list of things that are figuratively expressed. Sigwan means man or human, which comes from a Hebrew word Adama or Adam. Next is tree, which is expressed in deeds or actions. Next is fruits, which refers to results or end product. To eat, to be followed or instilled. The tree of life means to live in righteousness. The tree of knowledge refers to the learnings coming from the mistakes. So, as what you can see here, the Bible verses these are the Bible verses that supports the claim, the figurative expressions of the following words. Now I'll be explaining all of these individually. So we know that Adam, from the Hebrew word Adama, meaning ground, refers to a human or person. Now let's move on to the word trees. In Matthew 7, verse 15 to 20, to read, "Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are wearing ravening wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree brings forth a good fruit, but a corrupt tree brings forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth a good fruit. Every tree that brings not forth good fruit is brought down and cast into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits you all know them." This is what the Messiah Yahushua had said. Giving this verse, it has been implied that good deeds or the trees have good results, or the fruits, and vice versa. It's clear that the trees connotes to deeds and the fruits connotes to results. To add, we can identify the tree through its fruits, meaning to say we can identify results through one's deeds. To elaborate, we read on Luke 6, chapter 6, verse 43 to 45. "For a good tree bring not forth corrupt fruit, neither do a corrupt tree bring out forth good fruit. For every tree is known by his own fruit. For of thorn men do not gather figs, nor of a bramble bush they gather grapes. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bring forth that which is good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bring forth that which is evil. For the abundance of his heart his mouth speaketh." This specific verse have confirmed and clarified that a tree is an action or deed, while the fruit is the result. Now let's move on to the word to eat or eaten, which it is a verb. It figuratively means to follow or to instill. Let's read on John 6, chapter 6, verse 51. "I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world." Now, what this verse meant is that whoever shall eat the bread of life shall have an everlasting life. Meaning to say, whoever shall follow or instill the word of Elohim shall be granted an everlasting life. John 6, verse 51. "I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world." Now, what this verse meant is that whoever shall eat the bread of life shall have an everlasting life. meaning to say, whoever shall follow or instill the word of Elohim shall be granted an everlasting life. We all know that the word of Yahweh is only meant for our own good, and thus, if we are going to follow all of his statutes, there will be no harm in this world that will do to us.